Hello, parents. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to a new video. And today, I want to talk to you a bit about Zoom. So, like many coaches all around the world, when this pandemic hit, we had to transition to a different type of coaching. Now, your child at some point has probably had to use Zoom, whether that be at school, whether that be for soccer, okay? But either way, there has been many parents that have been really excited about Zoom. There's some parents that have found the experience, the virtual experience for their child, somewhat not as effective. So I wanted to come on here, make this video to talk about the benefits and the cons to Zoom, because I know this is something a lot of parents have been worried about. They say to me, Leo, my child is spending so much time on Zoom with his coach, with school, and they are losing their concentration. So if you're a soccer parent, then maybe at some point your child has had to do some coaching, maybe some technical work via Zoom. I know at our academy, we had to do that. We did that when the pandemic first hit. And honestly, for me, it was a fantastic experience, right? It was something brand new. And it was something that I think the kids and parents in our program really appreciated at that moment in time. And we had to adapt. Like most coaches out there, coaches have to adapt to a different way when a pandemic or a situation like this happens, which was not expected. No one expected this pandemic to arrive, but it did, and we had to adapt. So now with not just soccer going virtual, but I know many kids around the world have had to go virtual as well. And this is something that I've seen a lot of concern from a lot of parents about, is because they feel that their child is spending so much time in front of a screen. So I wanted to come on and just talk about a few things that I feel that Zoom really helps with. And if we are smart in the way we use the software, in the way we actually spend our time on it, then your child can get the most of it, okay? Now, yeah, I understand some of the concerns of most parents in that the type of teaching, the type of coaching is not the same, right? Talking to a coach through a camera, it's not the same as having a coach in person. But the first thing we have to understand is it's all a mindset. And if we encourage our kids to go into Zoom with that mindset that, do you know what? Like, my coach is still with me, even though it might be through a screen, but my coach is still present with me and he's still coaching me. He's still helping me, right? And for parents might say, right, it's not the same. And that's true. It's not the same. But it's the situation that we have, that we are in. And a lot of the times I say to parents is like, if coaches are willing to help your child through Zoom, rather than not helping your child at all, if I was a parent, then I would take up that opportunity. So we have to, first of all, change our mindset to thinking that Zoom is very different to personal coaching, right? We have to approach it with the mentality that I'm still with my child is still with their coach. And even though it's through a screen and not in person, but it's the same thing, right? It's the same communication. Same way I'm talking to you right now. Okay, I'm still coaching you. I'm still teaching you a lesson that can be of value, right? And that's what we have to get into our minds when our child uses Zoom. We have to remember that we have to, my child is adapting to the times we are in, but they're still getting the help from their coach. Now, the second point is something that has become very common with Zoom is Zoom fatigue, right? This new phenomenon of spending so many hours in front of a screen on Zoom that it can create Zoom fatigue. So I do coaching in person, and I also do coaching virtually. And either as a coach myself, both do create that fatigue, right? It creates a fatigue because you have to stay focused, and it both requires the same amount of energy, whether that be in person or whether that be, through Zoom. So Zoom fatigue is very common with kids. And something I want to encourage you as the parent is how your child is spending their time on Zoom, right? And for how long. Because sometimes if we're spending so much time on the platform, sometimes it's more than what we really need. Okay, so to eliminate Zoom fatigue means to spend the minimal possible time on it so that we can get the most out of it, right? Now, I know for myself personally, I coach a lot of my students through Zoom. So I do spend a lot of time on it, and that can get to the point where it does become tiring, but it's how you spend your time on it. Okay, so if you're very disciplined, if your child is very strict, right, from this time to that time, my child is going to be on Zoom. He's going to get the help from the coach. And then after that, I'm going to switch it off and leave it. Okay. When your child gets into that habit of doing that, then they're going to get the most out of the experience that they are receiving from the coach they are working with. So the number one key to using a platform like Zoom is to be wary of the amount of time you're spending on it. If you spend too much time, then you're going to get fatigued. You're going to get tired. It's the same with anything, right? If your child is on a treadmill for 3, 4, 5 hours, it's going to get to a point where they're going to get tired, right? And Zoom is exactly the same, because when you're listening to someone through a screen, you're focused, right? And it creates mental fatigue. So using Zoom the right way is the most important thing. Okay. Now, the third point is organization with the platform, right? You have to organize yourself in such a way that your child is only using it for a specific reason. Because I know today, a lot of kids are using Zoom to communicate with their friends, right? But if we can find creative ways for our child to only use Zoom when it's for educational purposes, whether that be training one-on-one with their coach or with their teammates, or whether that be for school reasons, that helps the experience of the platform. So if you're only using it for if your child is only using it for educational purposes, then they're going to value it a lot more than if they spend their time binging on the platform. It's the same with Netflix, right? If you're a parent and you're a subscriber to Netflix, you'll know that really and truly, if you spend more than an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours on Netflix, it creates fatigue. because in front of a screen creates fatigue. You get mentally tired. And Zoom is exactly the same. If your child is using Zoom for an educational purpose, for a real purpose, instead of being on it just to socialize with friends, then you're not going to learn, your child isn't going to learn to value it. And that's something that I have experienced, having to move onto the platform, to use it for my coaching, is that if kids spend so much time on it, they begin to dislike it. However, if they're very disciplined, if they're very organized in how they use it, in the sense that, right, they're only going to use it when they have a lesson with Coach Leo, or they're only going to use it when they have a lesson with a teacher at school or a private tutor, if your child does tutoring. They only use it for that specific purpose, then they're going to value the platform much more. And they're going to see it as a tool that helps them to get better, rather than a platform that they then begin to dislike because they're spending so much time on it. Okay. So if you've got any questions on anything that I've talked about today, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, please leave me a comment in the comment section below this video. Love to hear your thoughts on it. I know it's something that a lot of parents have really struggled with their child being in front of a screen for so long. Not only for school, but also with soccer as well. Okay, because some of our soccer sessions as coaches, we've had to transition into virtual, which has been a challenge. But what's the most important thing is how your mindset approaches that challenge, right? If you go in it with the mentality that I don't like this, then your child isn't going to like it, because you as the parent have to be enthusiastic about the adaptation. Okay, so if you agree with me, please leave me a comment in the comment section. If you don't, please as well. Or if you want to get in contact with me to talk about something a little bit more personal, right? Love to hear from you. Send me a message, send me an email to info@thefootballdomain.academy. If this is something that this topic has been of, concern to you, or any other topic that I've spoken about in previous episodes, get in contact with me. Love to hear from you. Get on a call and see how I can best help you and your child. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next episode.